Ladies and gentlemen, coming up on the Maren Show, we have an interview with an American mother who had her 3 children taken away from her by Norwegian Child Services. Her story is every parent's nightmare, and she wants the help of American officials. That's coming right up. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jonathon Van Maren. Welcome back to the Maren Show on LifeSiteNews.com. This interview is part 2 of a series on what is happening to many foreign parents and parents inside Norway at the behest of Child Protective Services. This is the story of a woman named Natalya Shutakova. She's a Ukrainian-born, naturalized U.S. citizen who grew up in Atlanta, and she was at home with her husband in southern Norway, which is about 2 hours outside of Oslo. Her children, who were born and raised in the United States, were sleeping in their beds when the Child Services agents came, took them into custody, arrested and handcuffed the parents, and the children were then separated from their parents and placed in foster homes. It's a horrifying story that has not been getting enough attention, and Natalya joined us to tell us her horrifying story and to let us know what we can do for her family to see her and her husband united with their children. Here is that interview. All right. Well, just to start off then, how about you just you tell us her story, give us a sense of what's been happening to you over the last year.
Mm-hmm. Well, me and my family, we moved to Norway temporarily in September 2018 from Atlanta, Georgia. And my husband has a work contract here, and we never even planned to stay here permanently. Everything was good since day one. My children have started school. There was no concern, no issues whatsoever. And up until May 20th in 2019, that's when our nightmare has begun. We never knew what Norwegian CPS was like until they stormed into my home and just terrorized my family like that. The kids were already in bed, and we were just never expecting this to happen, you know?
Right.
3 police cars with 1 CPS car. They knock on your door and they say, "You've been accused of child mistreatment." Before that, there was no connection with the CPS, never. There was no concern with the school. And just in the middle of the they tell you, well, there's a problem. Your daughter has accused you of some violence, which was never true, which she later admitted to. But it was enough for them to hear her first words to raise that. On May 20th, I received a message from her teacher saying that your daughter is hungry. And I'm like, all my 3 kids have lunch, you know, right. They never go hungry to school. And I come to school and I'm like, hey, she has it in her book bag. Well, she was caught in a lie. And she told her teacher, oh no, I lied, I'm gonna be grounded, I'll be back. And the teacher took that seriously. 3 days before May 20th, my daughter had a birthday and we got her a phone. That was her first iPhone, and she was misbehaving. And when she went back to school on Monday, she wasn't really happy, and the teacher was like, well, she just had a birthday and she'd be happy and all excited, but no, she seems a little bit sad. Yes, she was sad, and she was a little upset. So they just come and take your kids, all 3 of your kids. They took me and my husband to jail for 24 hours. without any interpretation. I mean, they're poor. We were interrogated, and our children were taken straight to foster family that same night. We're not allowed to see the children until June 19th. That's 1 month past. They let us sign a document until the police finishes investigation. The investigation lasted for about 2.5 months. After 2.5 months, that case was closed. They closed it due to no evidence of abuse.
Right.
Like if you were in America and the police clears you, then you get your kids back.
That's right.
Not here. Not here. We never knew how this system works. Now we know how evil it is. We went to court, and the court has decided that they will keep our children care, permanent care. Now, in the last 9 months, they have transferred the children at least 4 times to different families, different cities. They have split all the siblings apart in different cities. I don't understand, how are they hiding behind the logo of a child best interest when they're harming the kids even more? You know, we were allowed to see the children during the summer of 2019 once a week, and we were coming. This was a 2-hour supervised visit with one of their CPS workers sitting there taking notes. Sometimes these workers were 25-year-old girls who don't even have kids. I've been a mom for 11 years, so I have some experience, I guess. And I never had any issues in the States, you know. But as soon as you come to Norway, they label you as the bad parent. You don't fit their standards. You're not good enough. They couldn't prove the violence. Now they're trying to say that your parental skills aren't good enough. So the police has opened one case against me and my husband. That case was closed immediately.
Right.
They opened the second case. That case was closed too. And they opened the third case against us. They say there's a potential that you may kidnap your children. And for that reason, we don't want to give you the visitations. I said, well, if you're so afraid that I'm going to kidnap my children, why don't you let the police be present there, right outside the door? I could agree to that. No, they want me to surrender my passports. They want to have it. I said, I'm not going to give you my passports. The police has confiscated my phones. They've had those phones for 2 months, since Thanksgiving Day. On November 26th, they took my phones. And then just recently, in January, I got them back. They were going through all my messages, everything, every person I mailed, messaged. And there's nothing on it, nothing criminal. But Barnevern and the CPS, they still refuse to give us the visit. Now, the reason they are not giving us the visit is because now we have a good expert witness. We hired a psychologist who's working on the case right now, and she's very highly qualified. She's writing a report, and that report means big value in court. Our case has been delayed now. It was supposed to be heard in January, but now it's not until after Easter, April 20th. And still they're refusing it. They're refusing for us to see the children. The specialist needs to see the children and speak with them in order to complete her report. That's being denied. Right now, we have 2 embassies. My husband is Lithuanian and I'm American. We have 2 embassies writing letters to Barnevern requesting, give us some answers. Why are you denying these parents and children? You're breaking the law. It's my human right they're violating. I don't know if you've been following, but Norway right now has about 35 cases, same cases, involving CPS in the European Court of Human Rights. The same violations, exactly the same rights they're violating right now for me and my children.
So one of the things that I find so difficult to fathom is, so there was a police investigation right away. That makes sense. If there's accusations, you should do a police investigation to make sure that the kids are safe. Once the police investigation cleared you, what justification did they give for not giving the kids back? That's, I think, where most people think, is this a real story? It sounds like, some like dystopian horror movie or something like that. Like it genuinely does sound like something out of parents' worst nightmares rather than something happening in a European country subject to international law. So how did they justify not returning the children once the investigations cleared you?
Number 1 is, I regret that I ever came here. Number 2, being a Christian, you don't want to come to a socialist country with your children. That's a lesson that they're just making up lame excuses not to give us the visit. They really don't have a good explanation why they're denying this visit. We are supposed to have 3 visits per year. When I tried to reach out to them in October, because that was my son's birthday, I asked them, can I please? If not, can we at least have a phone call? Of course not. Everything was denied. And one mother reached out to me. She read the article on social media and she said, I recognized your son. He goes to the same class with my son. I'm not going to name her because she has kids and it's dangerous here in Norway. Tomorrow it could be her. And she told me a little bit about my son, how he's doing in school, how he looks, It's been so long that I haven't seen my children. These foster parents, these foster families are brainwashing my children. They're trying to erase their past. Now, the CPS workers are telling me, your children are fluent in Norwegian now. That is clearly not possible because they've only been in Norway for...
They've only been in Norway for how long? You just cut out there for a moment.
1 year.
1 year.
1 year. Yeah, it's just, they're trying to tell me that, now, like, forget about your past. They don't belong to you anymore. They never, like a social number, social security. Here, we never requested for a permanent stay. This was a temporary visit. I know another family was terrorized in Sweden. They were on vacation. Their kids got taken away. So I would not recommend anyone to come here to this country if you have small children. This system is rotten. 95% of parents lose the courts. If I knew all of these facts before, I would not step my foot here with my children.
Do you know how your children are doing?
The last time the US consulate was able to see my children. That was in December. First time in 10 months, he was allowed to see the US citizens. But they were too busy. They were too happy to see each other because they're split in different cities, in different families. And the whole time he was watching them, they never even spoke. The siblings were too excited to see each other. You know, they never even got a chance to speak to the consulate. So I hope they're doing okay.
How are you and your husband doing?
It's extremely difficult. It's very difficult. With the prayers of hundreds of people, with the prayers of our church, we're managing to just live day by day. But this is a nightmare nobody wants to go through. You know, all of my children, they were raised in America, born and raised there. And as soon as we came here, the nightmare started. My daughter was able to record a video message where she says, I lied to my teachers. Video in foster care. She understood everything, what happened, how they split up the family in chunks, like we mean nothing. She doesn't get to see her brother and sister anymore, her mom and dad. So she was able to record this video. She opened a TikTok, videos there. And then in September, I showed this video in court. The next day, her phone was, all activity on her account has stopped. She wasn't able to reach us anymore. I guess I'm not guessing, I can confidently say that they're controlling her. Whenever she gets her hands on a phone or any device, they make sure she never contacts the parents. This is evil. This is pure evil.
Why are they doing this?
This is nothing more than business for them. This system is big money in Norway. A foster family gets about 400,000 kroners a year on average for one child.
What would that be in dollars?
That would be $40,000 for one child. You don't even have to go to work and get a good salary by fostering a kid. And sometimes, in some cases, a family from, Christian family, they can give it to gay couple, they can give it to Muslim couple. They don't care about your ethnicity. They don't. So who knows where the kids are now? The address is always changing, so you can't really follow up. They make sure you never.
So you cut out there for just a moment. They make sure you never what, pardon me?
They make sure you never find out where the children are.
So what are the next steps when you describe this nightmare? It seems like there has to be some way out of this. You've said that you have a psychologist, pardon me, that you have a court date impending. I know I've spoken to some activists who are trying to draw attention to your case. You are an American citizen and your children are American, which should seem to count for something. So what is the next step, and do you have hope that this can come to a resolution?
My best hope would be American officials getting involved directly. I know another was taken away when he was a baby. She was still breastfeeding him. And it's been more than 6 years now that she hasn't seen her son. probably heard about her. It's Amy Jacobson and her baby Tyler. She's never seen him again. Now, in order for this not to happen again, the US government needs to step up. It has to be more than just writing letters to Barnabas. It has to be more than this. They need to step up a little bit. And as soon as they do, these children could be freed in an instant, because I don't have any trust in Norwegian courts. They are always siding with CPS. They're just sharing that big piece of cake. Everyone gets a piece. The teachers, the lawyers, the psychologists, the CPS workers, the judges, they're all in this. It's a criminal ring. Why do I call them criminal? Well, because they got convicted by the European Court of Human Rights 5 times in 2019 for the same things.
One of the things that I find especially hard to understand about this as well, and I'm sure that listeners and the viewers would love to hear your answer to this, is in Canada and the United States and in other places, even when the children are taken away from parents who are deemed incompetent, parental visits are still encouraged, even if they're supervised. There's like a huge effort that's put in to ensure that the kids stay connected to their parents, are aware of who they are, where they come from, so that when they're older, they could reestablish a relationship potentially. So even when there is grounds for the children being removed in other jurisdictions, like in North America, this sort of strange, disappearing that they're doing in Norway doesn't take place. So why is it that not only are the children removed, but that all contact, even supervised contact, is so frequently cut off with the parents, like that awful story of Amy Jacobson that you just mentioned?
It's a socialist country. And I know that I've heard other people from the States, before CPS takes away kids, they, at least for 6 months, they will monitor this family. They will keep you on the radar. They will come to your home. They will check you out. If these are drug addicts or alcoholics or, low life, I don't like to use that word. But here, if you're totally normal, if you're capable, if you're a working parent, they can do this. They can totally take away your kid. Well, I know I'm going to get my kids back one way or another. But this is where U.S. government needs to step in. Their courts are rotten to the core. There is no way for parents to win. They want to cut off the visits immediately so that they can use the argument and say, oh, the kids are too attached to the foster families now. They don't have any more attachment to you. Doesn't that sound like BS? And they use it in every case. They will say, oh, they have attachment there, but not here. You know what? My kids lived in the States all their entire lives. That's where their attachment is. And they want to come back home. That's what they're asking for. I don't know if you've seen that video with my daughter, but she was like, this is to every president, not just American president, but she wants everyone to know what is happening here in Norway. She says, my family got separated because I started some drama. Come on, 11-year-olds start drama just like that.
Especially when it comes to cell phones.
Why are they denying a psychologist to evaluate this girl now? What do they want to stop? They don't want the truth to come out. It will come out eventually.
So I guess the final question would be, what message do you have for all the listeners and the viewers who are hearing your story?
I would really ask US officials to look into this situation. I would warn everyone who thinks of traveling to Scandinavian countries, whether it's Sweden, Norway, Finland, Denmark, same system works here. You don't want to get trapped. And it's a trap. It's nearly impossible to get out of this. Only a lucky few can get out. You know, if you really cherish the family values, don't go to socialist country. I've managed to raise 3 beautiful, healthy children on my own, and I never needed anybody's help. I had it all under control. And when you come here, they think, well, you need our help. You need to ask us for help. If you don't, then our government is going to take over your kids. We know better how to treat your kids. We know better how to raise them. And to raise all the Christian values that I've put into my children's little brains since birth. Whether it's praying before bed night, the foster family says, it's a joke, God's not real. That was my daughter's words when she said, hey, we always pray before meals, you know? And then she's gonna be laughed at like that. It shouldn't be happening. I wish I knew all of this before I came here. If there's anything our government can do, American government, I wrote to my US senators and congressmen. I wrote letters to them. What they do is they usually send a letter to the embassy, and the embassy responds that we're closely monitoring the situation, and the embassy has promised that we will come to the next court in April. I have wrote letters to Trump. It was never responded. I hope the embassy is going to step up a little bit this time, because these children are begging to go home. They don't want to be there. Something needs to be done.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and telling us all of this. We wish you all the best.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was my conversation with Natalya Shutakova, a mother in Norway, an American mother who had her 3 children taken away by Norwegian Child Services. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch or listen to this 2-part report on what is going on inside Norway. If you'd like to read other stories on this subject, you can go to lifesitenews.com. You can also check out past episodes of our podcast there. We hope that this story moved you, and we hope that you'll be moved to take action on these stories where the family is under threat from so many different directions. Once again, thank you for joining us, and we do hope that you'll join us again next week.